it narrows the field of buyers to a very serious set of buyers for you. And that's really interesting, right? Because what happens is when you've placed your first bid, immediately you'll get charged a percentage of that bid on your credit card. And of course, if you don't win the car, your credit card transaction will get refunded back to you. It's more of a hold on your credit card. And then if you do end up buying the car, it gets credited towards the final price of, well, not the final price of the car, but the final amount of the fee that they're going to charge you. And after that's done, you and the buyer figure out the rest of the transaction together. So Cars and Bid doesn't get involved in transfer of title. They don't get involved in the actual moving of the money around or anything like that. They just put you in touch. The buyer is then more or less obligated to buy your car, especially since they've already paid a percentage of that price to the Cars and Bids website. And the seller is more or less obligated to sell the car. And there's some repercussions if they decide not to. I won't get into some of that because you can go and research their site. I just want to share with you what my experience was selling my car at Cars and Bids. Now, I decided to sell my car back at the end of September of last year. Right now it's January 1st, 2021. So end of September of last year, let's just call it the beginning of October of last year. That was pretty much 4 months ago when I decided I was going to sell my car. Now, what was my car? My car was this car right here, a 2012 Mercedes-Benz CL63 AMG with the P30 performance package. I wanted to sell this car and I decided to, actually I started with a different site. It was a competitor site to this. I won't get into it. I won't name other sites here. You probably know which one I'm talking about. That site didn't want to list my car immediately because they said that there were other cars in their pipeline like it and they would have to wait a while before they listed it. That kind of put me off wrong in a way because they didn't really seem like they wanted my business that badly. But I knew about Cars and Bids and I thought, you know what, that's a better site really from a, just seems like a cooler site. Let me try them. And so I emailed them, I went through Sell Your Car right here. Is this link here? Let's open it. And I went here. So basically today, again, this is just as of now, you can click one of these, kind of get started button, and these are the fees. So if you want a reserve listing, it's $89. If you want a no reserve listing, it's $49 to sell your car. And then I'll walk you through what that experience was like for me. So I heard back from them right away. They said, "Oh, this car sounds very interesting. Can you send us, more information?" I shared some information with them, and then I myself went a little silent. I had a lot of stuff going on in October of last year, and just work stuff, and I got really busy, and I wasn't really driving the car, but I just didn't have time to sell it. So it came around, somewhere around mid-November, and they had been reaching out to me literally 2-3 times a week asking about the car and what I wanted to do. And there was, they asked a lot of information about the car. They wanted to make sure that the title was straight, that I was the real owner, that, any sort of history of ownership and service and all that stuff. They wanted to know a lot about the car. That was really good because I knew they were not just trying to list my car, they were trying to sell the car, and that they were very concerned with the quality of the car that they were representing on their site. And that was neat. That was I knew right away that was a lot more than what the other site was going to do for me, or any other site. Because think about it, your other options really, other than the other site, is either posting it on eBay or on Auto Trader or any number of other car listing websites where it will probably get plastered all over the web on like Auto Tempest and Car Guru and some of those aggregator sites. And then you're just going to be inundated with kind of either lowball offers or not serious offers, or people emailing and calling you left and right. You're also going to get a bunch of guys that are trying to sell the car on your behalf for you, which is kind of just a waste of your time. And you're exposing yourself to a lot of scams that way too. So anyway, I wasn't going to list my car any other way. It was this way or nothing for at least a while, because I just wanted to kind of experience this idea of selling my car through this type of an auction setup. A little bit about the car. This was a 2012 CL63 AMG with a P30 package, as I said. And in fact, Doug tells you a lot more than I could. So he says, in his take on the car, says there's a lot to love about this CL63. It's a California-owned car from new, which is a plus, and it's got the rare P30 performance package, which was an uncommon addition to the CL models. It also has a relatively low miles, a rare exterior color, and per seller, a long list of expensive recent maintenance and repair items. Rounding out the benefits here is a no reserve auction, which boosts the excitement. If you've been looking for a CL, this is the one you want. Now, Doug does a little take on each one of the cars, which I think is super cool. And then also his staff goes through and writes up a bunch of stuff for you that you don't have to do. So they're trying to make the car as attractive as they can while still staying very honest. And I think there's a lot of value in that, because if you've ever tried to list a car, you'll know how difficult it can be to kind of create a nice listing. So I had all these discussions with them. They suggested I get some professional photos taken, which I did. So I hired a guy locally here to take these professional photos. We went to the Back Bay in Newport and got some really nice photos of the car, which I think represented the car well. And I posted these photos to their kind of the management console, I guess, or your profile or whatever. This is stuff that nobody else can see quite yet, because you're just dealing with the staff. The staff looked at the photos, they arranged them, they put them in the right order. So if you look at all photos here, you get exterior, interior, mechanical, docks, and other. So that's kind of neat, because if somebody's looking for just like documentation, they can just go there really quickly and see it. And then, so they write out all of that, they write out all the equipment that's on there, and then they talk about known flaws. Now, one of the things that I didn't quite see on the car myself was the scratches they referred to. So they saw those in one of the photos. There was some scratches on the lower portion of the front bumper. So this is where your bumper essentially scrapes anything. There was some scratches there, and they wanted to point those out. And then these stone chips, which I didn't think were on the car. I still don't, but they insisted that they saw something in the photos, and I wasn't about to argue with them. So they put that there. They listed the recent history and ownership history, seller notes, and whatnot. So they did a very thorough job of writing up the car. Then it became time to kind of really get serious about posting the car, and they told me what the reserve price would be. And that's something I wasn't expecting to hear from them. I thought I was going to tell them what the reserve price was. And we had a couple of discussions about this. So they wanted the reserve price to be at $31,000. I wanted to sell the car at like $35,000, $36,000, hopefully. So I thought the reserve price should be like $33,000. But they insisted that it would be $31,000 or no reserve at all. And I decided to just come in and jump in and went no reserve at all. Now, that is a really scary thing to do, because technically your car could sell for $1. I mean, realistically, a $33,000 or $36,000 car, in my opinion, could have sold for the mid-20s, and I would have to sell it then, because I've made that commitment to sell it. Or, other things can happen, which I won't get into. So anyway, I just decided, let's just do it. And part of the reason I did that is I watched a lot of videos that Doug had posted about the kind of transactions that are happening on the site. And in several of his videos, he would mention that the cars with no reserve actually get a lot more hits, and they get a lot more bids, and they inevitably get higher prices. So I said, you know what? Let's just roll the dice here. Let's see what we get. And so now this is months later. This is a little over 2 months after I started talking with them, mostly because of me, that were listing the car, and we listed the car on December 2nd, which was a Wednesday, and the auction would end then on December 9th, which was also a Wednesday, exactly a week later. So let's go down and see what happened on December 2nd when it listed. Now, one of the things I don't like is that maybe intentionally they don't show the times and dates of some of these things, so I'm going to have to help you kind of walk through this chronologically. So when we listed the car, there was pretty much immediately on that first day, there was a bid for $10,101. And there was some discussion, back and forth, people asking questions, saying, oh, beautiful car, blah, 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 do you have the records? And things jumped up pretty quickly, 15,000, by about an hour or so into it. I think a couple hours into it, we were $16,000, $17,000. And I was like, okay, well, it's moving pretty good. I like where this is going. Is this your personal car? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm answering all the questions as quickly as I could and as thoroughly as I could. So all of a sudden, we're at $20,000. And I'm pretty excited because, in my eyes, if we're at $20,000 by the middle of day one, we're going to be at a pretty good price by the end of day 7. Heck, I figured we would break whatever I thought we were going to get, which we'll see. Of course, there's a big spoiler here how much the car actually sold for. So $24,000, and by the end of day 1, we were at $28,000. Not a bad first day on Cars and Bids. Now, if you know anything about these bidding sites, all bidding sites, really, most of the action happens in the very, very last day and the very last hour of the auction. So whatever's happening on day 1 is just really cool bonus gravy. People are getting attention and it's ending up in their inboxes and they're bookmarking it or whatever they're going to do. But you're not going to really count much of that until the very last day, last few minutes. So this is kind of the end of day 1, and boy, did it then go quiet. No more bids. Okay. So this is the Monday. So that was a Wednesday, and here's me saying Happy Monday, everybody. And look, nothing happened between that Wednesday and that Monday. Just 3 comments and nothing else. So I was getting a little nervous. Several days have now gone by. There's only a couple of days left of the auction. And then last day, and this is just Cars and Bids in between Monday and Wednesday, and nobody's even commenting. I'm getting a little scared, so I was adding some videos and I added some photographs, and that's something I didn't actually mention because I ended up adding a couple of videos that I posted on YouTube, and I sent the links to the staff, and they posted them for me. Very nice of them to kind of be very quick and whatnot about that. And so this was a walk around video, which I'll leave a link in the description. You can follow and check it out. And it was also a driving video. And then this one was an interior video where I went through all the features. And let's see. Where were we? Okay. So this is the very last day. And we are starting the day. Nothing's going on. In the middle of the day, we get 28,750, 29,000, 29,250. Things are kind of getting good and interesting. I'm still a little nervous because it's really coming up. 29, 30 grand. And then somebody actually comments that this brown BMW comments that, and it's at Camry money right now, meaning really 30 grand for a car that had a sticker of 176,000. That's pretty incredible. And I think at this point everybody thought this was going to run up pretty high, and it went up a little bit more to 33,500, and then that was it. We didn't get any other bids, and I think the last 10 minutes or so were actually pretty dead. I don't quite remember. I wish they posted some of that information, but I'm sure they don't because they don't want people to try to guess what's going to happen with their car, because every car is going to be a little different. Anyway, $33,500 is what my car sold for. And what happened afterwards was immediately after this, the staff sent myself and the buyer both an email with our respective contact information, email and phone number. And we contacted each other within 10 minutes of the auction closing, and we started kind of arranging things. And at that point, I got to be honest, I had some mixed feelings. 33,500 was quite a bit less than what I really was hoping to get out of this car, but it was above any reserve I would have realistically set. So I think I told you I was going to set a reserve of 33,000. So it sold for above my reserve that I would have set. So that's a positive. It could have sold for less, right? But I was a little just, I guess, slightly disappointed, but I looked forward to kind of working with this buyer and making sure that he had a smooth transaction. So I contacted him right away. I congratulated him and I said, hey, let's get this going. And he got my banking information right away, and he was on top of his wire. He said he sent a wire, and we had a couple other. He had a couple other questions that I answered quickly. 2 days went by and the money wasn't there. So I got a little nervous, but not really, because I had a really good feeling about the buyer. I'm a pretty good judge of character, I feel like. And so I contacted him. I said, hey, listen, your wire isn't there yet. You might want to check with your bank. He said, I'll check right away. He checked with his bank, and sure enough, they had held up the transaction because he needed to sign some other paper. And he did that, and literally an hour later, the money was in my account. Now, it still showed pending, and I was a little bit nervous about that, but by the time we arranged for shipping and whatnot, the money was cleared the account, so there was nothing to be nervous about. We'd mailed him the paperwork, and all there was left was to ship the car, put the car in a truck. All right, it's Monday, the 21st of December at 9:15 a.m. And I'm on my way to drop off the car at Dynamic because the truck is ready to pick it up and ship it to the buyer in New York. Car still has 70,430 miles on it. Probably be like 435 miles maybe, or 7 miles by the time I get to the truck. As you can see, it's in good running condition. So the truck driver showed up. I stood there and waited until it got loaded, and I waved goodbye at it, and it went away. And only 3 days later, now I'm in California, and the guy was in New York, so only like 3 days later he got the car. So that driver must have driven just straight there, which is pretty crazy. And I think there was a winter storm coming out at that time also. All right, the truck's here. We're about to load her up, and he's just taking some photos to kind of indicate the condition of the car before. Responsible thing to do. It's the beginning of a very, very, very long journey to New York. So from California, coast to coast. It's a good idea what the inside, underneath the car looks like. Pretty immaculate. That's awesome. We exchanged a couple other emails about the car afterwards, but and actually just the buyer was nice enough to send me back some paperwork I had left in the car. And that was it. That was really it. I haven't heard back from the buyer. I hope he's enjoying the car. And I certainly enjoyed my experience with Cars and Bids. I have to say that one of the reasons I did this video was because when I was thinking about listing my car, there was really no information about like people's experiences with Cars and Bids, except for like one disgruntled guy that just didn't get his way. And he kind of destroyed his own credibility in the video, I felt like. So I didn't really have anything to go by. And I figured, you know what, Doug seems like a trustworthy guy. He seems like he would only work with, you know, that kind of guy. So I just rolled the dice and I went with it. I feel like the site's only going to get better with better audiences and more audience, I guess, over time. And I'm always looking forward to the cars I see on there. And this week there's some really cool cars on here, including this C8 Corvette that I'm looking forward to seeing how much that goes for. I personally haven't bought anything from this site yet. I've placed a few bids seriously, but I was never the winner. And I think one of the bids I placed, I don't quite remember, might not have hit reserve. There's a really cool 2012 Vantage. Anyway, if you have any questions about my experience at all, please post a question below and let me know how I can answer your questions, any feedback you might have, and consider clicking that subscribe button and seeing more car, motorcycle, and automotive videos from me. All right, thank you for watching, guys. Have a great day.